Hey, that says Bronze and Modern Gods. That is Richard.
And that is John.
Through ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. We have our usual stuff happening today. Underrated Books of the Week, 25-year rule. Our main topic, suggested by one of you guys. I'll be darned if I can remember who it was. I didn't bother to look it up. But how are our 2022 goals coming along? An update. At the beginning of this year, we had an episode about our 2022 comic book collecting goals. And Richard, do you think we're doing okay so far as a teaser? Don't give it away.
Yeah, we're doing okay, I think.
You gave it away. Why don't you give away the hot book of the week?
Hot book this week is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 10.
Richard, look at that cover.
Yeah, it's a Doom. That's one of the things I like about Secret Wars. Doom is very prominent through the entire series. He's prominent through the second Secret Wars series as well. So, yeah, this is Doom. That cover is pretty spectacular.
It's Mike Zeck. I believe it's John Beatty inks. Here's my issue with Doom in Secret Wars. I'm going to steal the powers of a godlike being. Didn't he try that in Fantastic Four with the Silver Surfer? And it didn't work out too well for him, did it?
Yeah, it didn't work out. He likes to do that. Guy Emperor Dune is that same thing, right? So it's he has an unquenchable thirst for power.
Delicious, tasty power. A 9.8, CGC 9.8 of this book just sold this week for $350. Tree fitty. Lots of speculation, of course, around the announcement of the Marvel Secret Wars movie and Dr. Doom's possible role in it. And I don't know. What do you did we ever talk about the Howard Stern leak?
I don't think we talked about it specifically. No.
I am a big Stern fan, old and new. I know people are like, "Oh, he used to be good. Now he's all soft." I like new Stern as well. I liked New Coke when it came out. I'm weird like that. The Richard speaking of
that was horrible.
People listening on the audio version of the podcast, Richard just made a face like I've never seen before.
New Coke was horrible. We were talking about the leak from Howard Stern.
Oh, okay, Howard. Yes, thank you. Apparently, on one of the episodes before he took his summer break, he had a hot mic, and he was talking to Gary Bababababui, his producer, about his schedule, and he's meeting with Kevin Feige about a role in a movie that he already committed to, and he's grousing about it, as Howard is wont to do when it comes to having to do things extracurricular. And all of a sudden, speculation went to, is Howard going to play the role of the interviewer in that Doom miniseries that came out, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago? Did you read that one?
No, I didn't.
It's kind of based around Dr. Doom being interviewed by someone and telling a story. And the speculation is, Howard is going to be that person doing the interview, which would be
with a vampire.
Stunt casting. But this cover, let's get back to this book. I believe we're talking about a comic book here. It's called Secret Wars number 10. Dollar bins for decades again. Secret Wars clogged things up. It was so heavily ordered, so heavily speculated upon. I can't believe these books are. This is another one in the old man pile. I can't believe people are paying these prices.
Except for 8. I mean, 8 has always been a book that people have gravitated to. 8 is the appearance of the black suit for Spider-Man. Yes. But the rest of the books in this series are always also Rand's. I remember when the series came out, there was a lot of excitement about it. The books sold very well. I mean, people really enjoyed this huge cast of characters in this epic story. And I think Marvel got addicted to it because they've run this theme a number of times over the years.
It was kind of the beginning of the end. It started the whole intercompany crossover thing and bleeding into other books, Secret Wars 2 especially, where every title had a Secret Wars 2 crossover. Yeah. And then DC got involved with Crisis on Infinite Earths, and you had books like Sergeant Rock had a Crisis crossover where the sky was red. That was the only thing it had to do with anything having to do with Crisis, thank goodness. But Secret Wars was not critically acclaimed. I believe the Comics Journal would eviscerate it several times.
I have to agree with him. The storyline was because you have too many characters. You cannot involve all of them in the plot with any level of depth when you've got 25 different heroes that you're trying to deal with. And I think the plot suffered because of that.
It also seemed like Jim Shooter was trying to teach some of his more popular writers a lesson or two. Claremont was doing so well with Uncanny X-Men. So, I think it's issue 4 of Secret Wars where Spider-Man beats every single person in the X-Men within like 3 pages.
Yeah, that's epic.
Ridiculous, Storm is a goddess in her book over there in X-Men, but over here she's like, I'm gonna do a raindrop on Spider-Man. That didn't work.
Yeah. Certain characters did seem to get the focus out of the series. Doom, especially, as you mentioned, Doom. The series focuses on the Beyonder, and Doom absorbs his powers, and it's this book is indicative, I think, of the involvement of Doom in the storyline, and hopefully we're going to see a similar involvement in the Secret Wars movie.
I am one of the weirdos that really actually kind of liked Secret Wars 2. It was so weird and so different. The Beyonder trying to be human, taking the form of Steve Rogers, Peter Parker teaching the Beyonder how to go poop.
I read the first issue and this didn't continue.
I mean, it was weird. It was, I don't know if Jim Shooter was working something out on the page psychologically, but you had the Steve Gerber stand-in that was the animation writer. I think it was in issue 1, getting superpowers and going nuts and trying to destroy Hollywood. It's just so many personal vendettas being worked out on these comic book pages. It's like, can't we all get along?
Did you read the 2015 series?
I did. Huh? It was pretty.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. All those Adam Hughes covers were.
Tell me what plot.
I can't.
Okay, moving on to our main topic. You guys, someone, I forget who it was, please forgive me. It may have been Yakuza Doc or someone else asked, hey, we haven't had an update on your 2022 collecting goals. At the beginning of the year, you guys did a whole episode about what you're looking for in the next year, and you're going to be hyper laser focused on it. You haven't said boo about it since, and here we are in August. So here we are in August, and we're going to give you an update. And you've probably seen a few of these things on the show because as they've come in, we've talked about them. But Richard, start us off. What do you got so far? What were your goals, first of all?
The goals I mentioned on the show were Miracle Man #1 Gold, Ultimate Comics All New Spider-Man #1 Sketch Edition.
Ooh,
Bachille sketch, and Albedo #2 first. Usagi Yojimbo.
I found a 9.8 for you last week at Comic-Con.
Yes,
I texted you.
Yes, you did. My pockets were not that deep. So out of the 3, I actually did manage to find a copy of Miracle Man #1 Gold. Now gold is the fact that the first 1,000 copies off of the press were actually distributed at SDCC that year, 1985, and it was amazing. So the book was signed by Alan Moore, the writer, and with each book you got this COA.
Proof. Oh, look at the old slug, the snail, the old Comic-Con mascot.
Yeah, and this was done by Stan Sakai. So they actually COA. So you got one of these, and the reason it's called gold is because this is this yellow goldenrod is considered gold. The first 400 copies of the book that were distributed came with this, and they were numbered and signed by Alan Moore. So I managed to find a copy off of eBay. A gentleman out of the UK sold it. I shipped off my money, and later on, I got the book. Now I got it raw.
Was that man's name Alan Moore by chance?
Oh my God, I wish it was. Now this Alan Moore did sign this book and numbered it. The golds have a numbering 1 to 400. The blue Blue came with, instead of a gold COA, came with a blue one. There are 600 of those, and they were signed but not numbered. Plus, there were some extra books that were available because they were afraid Alan may have screwed up the signature. But for the most part, there's 1,000.
His name.
Now, because he signed it inside the book, he did not sign it on the cover, but he signed it on the first page. You don't, and I actually, since I bought it raw, I saw it. I actually have some pictures of the signature. But if you look at I don't know if I can get it. I can't get it so that you can see it. It says Alan Moore 234 out of 400, written on first page in pen.
Yeah.
So it gets a blue label, doesn't get it qualified because he didn't do it on the cover. And that is the information that says it is the gold edition. Now, of course, it wasn't witnessed, so it falls to my belief that it is accurate, and I do believe it's accurate. I believe I've seen Mr. Moore's signature, and it looks like his signature. And in the universe that I have created, that book is a Miracle Man #1 gold. I came out 9.4. I pressed it. Unfortunately, there are a couple small flaws that kept it from being a 9.8. I don't care. This is a keeper because I've been looking for this book for years. Yeah, so I finally have a copy that didn't cost me $1 million. So I'm totally excited.
And it made it all the way here from the UK and still got a 9.4. Didn't get damaged in airmail post or whatever.
No, the postal gods were good to me.
Oh, good. Do you remember how did you get Miracle Man when you were buying it the first time? And by that, I mean, where did you go? Because it was direct sales only.
I had a comic book store in Fairlawn that I would go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought all of my comic books from him. It's on Lorraine Road and it's no longer there. The gentleman who owned the store is no longer there. So yeah, I bought it there.
I remember there was after Mr. Fantasies in my little hometown of Elyria closed down in I think 1979, 1980. There was no direct sales outlet, and we would have to go to a thrift store, a resale shop called the Elyria Bazaar. And this guy somehow got all these direct sales books from other wholesalers, and he would sell them. And that's where I got Captain Victory by Jack Kirby and Star Slayer and the first Gru series from Pacific and Comic Reader fanzines. And I was like, if only there was a store around here that would sell these when they're new. And then I got my driver's license, and I was headed off to Cosmic Comics, owned by Tony Isabella, downtown Cleveland, Ohio, in the Cleveland Arcade.
Yep.
I'm all full of stories today. I'm full of beans.
So what about you? What was your first one?
Well, the goals were concentrate on my Atlas heroes. In 1950s, Marvel was called Atlas. This was after they changed their name from Timely Comics in the 40s. And about, in the mid 50s, they tried to bring superheroes back. They tried to bring back Captain America, the Human Torch, and Submariner. And it wasn't really successful. Submariner hung around for a little over a year into 1955 because apparently there was a TV show option. So they wanted to keep the character out there and published. But Cap and Namor Cap and the Torch lasted 3 issues in their own title. And they were out. So that was my overall goal. But before I share what I've gotten from those, let me tell you about the stuff that I derailed and went off script. Already, I got a complete run of The Double Life of Private Strong, which is the Jack Kirby Shield reboot from the 50s from Archie Comics. When I say the full run, all 2 issues. So I got that. I'm real proud. And I keep buying these wherever I see them. I can't stop myself, Richard. I like buying feature comics with Doll Man bondage covers.
I thought you had that one already.
I had this one. I found this. Look at this. I had like a rag. This one's beautiful. Look at this one. It's gorgeous.
That is one of my favorite Doll Man covers.
What is going on? What S&M BDSM perv?
That is awesome. That is an awesome cover. I mean, the detail work that somebody put into to come up with that particular situation is amazing.
This helped many a closeted case in the 1940s get through, how difficult life was back then, I think. That's why I like those covers, because it's like, oh, this is what they used. We have the internet now. Okay, let's get back on topic. Captain America. Cap 74, one of my goals for this year. Well, guess what, everybody? I got close. Cap 73. 4.0, not bad. Really creepy cover. It is one of the horror covers. Cap 72, 73, 74, and 75. They kind of tried to ride that horror wave. So, by the way, this cover has nothing to do with what's inside the book. I don't know what they were trying to do. So there's
I tried very hard for the 75.
I've tried for the 75. The 74, I think, is just a little out of reach right now. Maybe if I get that next lotto, the next $1 billion lotto, Marvel Boy. I want a full Marvel Boy run, right? Well, I got number 2 in a 5.0. Don't have number 1 yet. I saw number 1 at Comic-Con last week, a 4.0. They wanted $1,500 for it. I was this close, and I thought, I need to be a good boy. I do have an astonishing number 3 with Marvel Boy. That is at CGC. I dropped that off last week. So why don't we go to your next one, because I think it's very, very impossible. I can't believe it happened.
Oh, I never got it. Ultimately Comics. Yeah, this book is a ghost. I set myself a goal of a book called Ultimate Comics, All New Spider-Man #1, which is a beautiful cover with Miles Morales on it, with his mask in his hand, and the color version of this cover, it's going for good money. I mean, like $2,000 for a 9.8. There is a sketch version, supposedly, of this. I have seen one copy of the sketch version ever on eBay, and the person at the time wanted $30,000 for it. I thought,
sure, why not?
And now I know why, because it's a real ghost. The story is that this book was one of those books that's released to the Retailer Summit, so it's a small print run. But we've talked before, they don't just print a small handful of these books.
But even so, okay, why is that so expensive? But things like the Dr. Aphra Diamond Retailer Summit variant go for $150. I guess it's just what it is.
Yeah. A lot of it is the Miles fever. Things related to him are worth a lot of money. The color version of this is a 1 in 15, I think, ratio variant. And it has always been in demand. It's also been hard to come by. The All New Spider-Man didn't have a huge print run, so these books were of limited availability. So I've gotten one of the color versions. I got a 9.4 of the color version of this copy of this book. I have, because of its rarity, have always wanted one of the sketch variants. I would jump at an opportunity to buy one. I wouldn't pay $30,000 for one, but I would pay good money if one came just because it is so rare, and anybody who's a Miles fan is going to find it desirable. I find it ultra desirable, but I'm whiffing. I have not seen a copy of it anywhere.
Wow, that's a bummer. Well, mine are maybe scarcer, just not as in demand. I wanted to, again, my 50s Atlas books, focusing on the heroes, not one of the big 3 heroes, but more of a new hero, was Speed Carter Spaceman. And it's a 6-issue run. Very, Buzz Lightyear kind of, 50s Captain Video kind of a book. And I got a beautiful issue #1 that I think is going to come back as an 8.0, maybe better. I dropped that off last week at CGC, so I don't have it to show, but I do have a number 3 that I got this year.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Look at that. Godzilla. First Godzilla in comics. Everybody spec on it now. Not really, but gorgeous. And I have a number 5 that is really, really sharp. It's got one issue with it. I'm going to try to show it. I don't know if you can see it. Someone pressed it and they didn't know what they were doing.
The staple, yeah.
Yeah, look at how far indented that staple is at the top where they didn't have enough support in the centerfold. Watch our video on pressing 101 to learn more. But you know, I'm 3 for 6 on the Speed Carter Spaceman so far this year, and we've got a few months left.
You're a lucky dog.
Yeah, another one. You have 2 here that you cannot find. Maybe
No.
3.
Well, the Albedo #2, the first Usagi, I have wanted for a long time. I've lusted after that book. I just can't find one at a price that I'm willing to pay. Because there is a TV show that is coming out related to this character.
It's out. Space Usagi, right?
Yeah, Space Usagi. Is it out?
It's out, and it hasn't seemed to really, you know, the book is still desirable, but it hasn't made it go into the stratosphere.
I was kind of waiting for that to come out. I wasn't aware that it was out because the trailers that I saw, the previews for it, weren't very impressive, to be honest with you. It was very Hollywoody in terms of you know, the standard tropes that they always put out for characters like this. And to me, that's just not going to sell to the audience that they're trying to sell. So now that that's out, and any of the effects of speculators on this book hopefully is diminished, maybe the prices for this will become more reasonable. It's still there. There's still, you know, a 5-figure book in almost every case for anything of a higher grade. Even lower grade books are expensive. So I've just been biding my time for this book, and so far I haven't come across a copy that meets my particular price goals.
The Space Usagi 10 episodes on Netflix now.
Guess what I'm gonna do tomorrow?
Take that, work.
Yeah, like John, I bought books I wasn't supposed to buy. They're not part of the focus, but sometimes rare books come up, and you just have to take the opportunity to buy them when they show up. One of the books I've been looking for a long time is this book here. This is Cry for Dawn, #5. This is the second print. Second print has this lovely variation. You have to use your imagination, for the painter's tape there. This is Dawn. Dawn, one of my favorite characters from the 90s. Really cool character. This book is really hard to get in higher grades. I've seen an 8.0 up on eBay forever. But I've never seen them graded higher. I see not lots. I see a couple of raws that show up every now and then for $100, and they are obviously not going to be, in this range. So this one showed up out of the blue, and I absolutely had to have it. So I've bought this.
Is that like a palate cleanser for the Doll Man cover?
It's the yin to your yang, John.
Okay, I'll take.
So anyway, yeah, I'm a good girl art fan. I collect stuff like this. My wife saw it and said, "Oh my!"
I'm sure she did.
So this is a great book. This is a part of the PC. I love it. And
now, is it a 9.4? Are you gonna take a chance? You bought it slabbed.
I brought it slabbed. I'm going to leave it as is. I don't have to have a 9.8 for everything. Some stuff I just wanted in the collection. So another book that I bought that I shouldn't have bought, but I came out at a great price on a live sale that our friends at Elite Comics had, is Tarot #1, David
Nakayama.
Nakayama. I have trouble with this name.
I got you.
Nakayama. It's a beautiful incursion cover. So that card she has a copy of the card on it, and et cetera, et cetera. This book is kind of rare, and like I said, it came up at a good price. I love the theme, and the colors on this are so rich. This is definitely a book I bought because of the cover, and it also is going into the PC.
In the Overstreet price guide, when they list that, it will say Infinity cover.
Yes, they will. Yes, yeah,
Infinity cover. All right. No big surprise. This next few ones, you guys know. I'm just gonna check it off the list since we talked about it. Here it is, Yellow Claw, #1. There we go. 6.0. CBCS slab. I'm debating what to do with it. It looks like
it's graded. You think a CPR job?
It's pressed. It looks like it's pressed to within an inch of its life. So I don't think I'm going to mess with it. I think I'm going to leave it for now and let it rest in its plastic prison. But I also got these. Yellow Claw #1, the La Prensa Mexican version.
Wow.
From 1955 or 1960, I think actually came out in Mexico. Not only that, but they had a reprint of #2, the same seller on eBay. They're gorgeous. I mean, they're like, I don't know, they're like 6.5, 7.0s for Mexican variants from that time period. These are like 9.8s. And now CGC is slabbing foreign variants. I did not take these. I wasn't comfortable enough yet, but I've got 2, 3, and 4 as well. The run is done. I am complete. I'm finished.
Excellent.
And now becomes okay. I have a 6.0. Got to get a 7.
Okay, so I need to know, how did you know those books were Yellow Claw? Because the writing on the cover does not say Yellow Claw anywhere.
Well, first of all, the full title of the book is Justo Castigo, which is and also El que la hace la paga, which is he who lives by the sword dies by the sword, crime and punishment. It reprints a bunch of crime stories as well as Yellow Claw stories. And the only reason I found these two on eBay is because the seller was smart. The seller had it listed as Yellow Claw Mexican edition.
Wow.
And I had a saved alert that I got it, like at 6:30 in the morning. And I don't think I woke up faster in my life. And he had both of them, and I made him an offer for both of them and just hit, make offer. And so if you bundle these two, will you take this much? And he said, sure. And he was really a really good seller. He made sure that I knew he was going to package them nicely. And he's like, I have a friend that lives in the States. I'm going to take it across the border and have him mail it from there. So you don't have to worry about Mexican postal service.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. So he's in my saved favorites. He's got a lot of Mexican variants too. So I'm not going to tell you. He's mine. The 50s Atlas hero revival for Marvel started in a book called Young Men. Young Men 25, in fact. This is where the Human Torch, Captain America, and the Submariner return after being canceled in 1949. Everyone loves Young Men. Thanks to Heritage Auctions, Comic Link. I think I got this at Comic Link, last Comic Link auction. I now love Young Men too. It is a 4.5 white pager, and I kind of got it for a steal, I think. So it ran, those guys ran in Young Men 25 through 28. I have 25. I have the weirdest 26. It's a 2.0 CBCS. Says it's unrestored. I'm going to read the label to you. Okay. It's a 2.0 cream off white. Original staples removed. 4 staples added. 1 page from another book stapled between 10th and 11th page. How is this book not restored? And how is it a 2.0? I don't know.
How you don't get at least a married qualified?
Right? It's weird. I almost want to crack it out and remove the extra staples.
I'd say, to me, that's a gift grade, and
for sure.
Crack it.
And at the same time, it was running in Young Men. Human Torch, Cap, and Submariner were also running in a book called Men's Adventures. You have Young Men and Men's Adventures, and here is one of the Men's Adventures issues. So I'm still working on those, but lots of ones checked off my list, Richard.
Good for you.
When I was doing my list, I was actually kind of proud of myself.
Good for you.
There is one more. I have a Cap 78 that is at CGC. I dropped that off as well. And you have a book that you didn't mention, and I'm going to call you on it. Should I call you on it or leave it out?
No, we can talk about it.
There is your Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, one of the reasons why my list is so short is I really have put a moratorium on buying a lot of comics. Unless it really sparks my interest because it's rare. I just haven't been buying a lot of variants and all the other stuff that I used to buy.
Right.
I've been saving my pennies for an Amazing Fantasy 15. So I also have sold some big books in getting ready for it. So I've got a war chest, and I'm out there looking for the right book. Hopefully, I can make an announcement soon saying I found it. But so far, it's I only have so much money, and the amount of money that I have really says I can afford a 1.0, maybe a 1.5.
Okay.
And when you get to that low quality of book, there are typically a lot of flaws. Parts of the cover are missing. There's horrid chipping,
Mhm.
staining, all kinds of things that make the book a 1.0 versus anything higher.
4 extra staples, an extra page stapled.
Right. So, I've seen examples. They don't meet my requirements because they're 1.0s, but they're 1.0s because the top third of the book or cover is missing, or they're 1.0s because there's writing on it that I just don't want. So,
Yeah.
that combination of, if I'm going to buy one, I'm going to buy one that meets my criteria, and also finding one in the right price range. Fortunately, right now the market is um, a little down, so I think people who are looking to sell are more flexible in their pricing. So yeah, I've had some friends turn me on to some books, and it just hasn't worked out yet. The other big concern is, when we're talking about a book like this, we're talking about a book that's at least $20,000
Yeah.
to talk about the price. I'm very hesitant to send that kind of money to someone that I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're talking wire transfers, meet in person, and all that
right,
stuff.
right. So that's also a factor in it. The person that I buy from, I have to have confidence that if I give them the money, I'm going to get the book that we talked about in return. So there's a lot of factors. Once you get to a certain point in the value of the book, you become very paranoid unless you can do it in person. Ultimately the best would to be to do the transaction in person at a bank. You hand over the money, they hand over the comic, they put the money in the bank, and then you walk away. That to me is the best kind of transaction. That's a hard transaction to do. Um, so it's still out there. I'm still looking for the right one. So
California Comic Con in February. Everyone, bring your amazing fantasy 15s.
we can't. But we looked at one today. It was a 3.0, but it was qualified. And you look at it.
What's wrong with it? Coupon out or?
What was wrong? Oh, it was missing the centerfold.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. He says, "Well, I've got a centerfold right here." He had a non-graded centerfold. Well, that's helpful.
Why didn't he marry it and send it in and get, restored? He probably actually would sell it more.
Yeah, I'm not interested in me personally. I'm not interested in a qualified or restored at this point, unless somebody's going to have some ridiculously reasonable price for a book that is either. I'd want a blue label. I want a blue label. I don't care that it's a 1.0 as long as it's a 1.0 that meets my visual criteria.
Okay. Well, I called you out on one that you haven't gotten yet. I'm going to call myself out. Actually, I'm calling us both out. I'm calling you out again because we both want this book, and neither one of us has made any effort to get it this year. And that's Love and Rockets #1.
That's true.
First print. Now, when I say first print, which first print do you want? Do you want the first print with the Bug-Eye Monster cover?
No, my first print, because the BEM is that was a really limited book.
Yeah, you want the Fantagraphics.
I want the Fantagraphics #1 with the lineup of all the women. You can tell the #1, the first print, because it has a price of $2.95.
Yeah.
Other prints have a higher price. That's how you can find it. I have a 9.0 right now.
Oh,
But
do you?
I do. I have a 9.0, but I want chasing that coveted 9.8. They're out there. There's two on the census, so I know they're out there.
Mhm.
But you never know. There are raw books that may still hit that qualification, and you can submit them and get that grade. But they're just really, really hard to come by.
Do you know that book is going to be 40 years old next year?
Yeah,
40, right? 1983?
yeah.
Am I thinking that right? Oh, I've never been good at math, but that means it's time for the 25-year rule. What does that have to do with the 25-year rule? I don't know, but it's almost as non relatable as this book is to this publisher. Casper and Friends magazine #1, published by Marvel Comics. What? Yes. In the mid 90s, Marvel got the rights to the Harvey Comics characters. This was a magazine of all new stories featuring Casper and the incredibly off-model Harvey Comics gang that look horrible in this new Marvel version, including Richie Rich, Baby Huey, Little Dot. Little Dot. What the concept for a book that ran so long? She's a little girl and she loves dots, polka dots. Just think of the story possibilities, Richard.
There's a half dozen of them.
I mean, Baby Huey, he's a giant mutant duck that's a baby that, is clumsy and runs into things. That's great. That's comedy. Richie Rich, he's a spoiled little brat that gets whatever he wants and money falls from the sky and, Little Dot likes dots. I mean, even Casper, he's a dead baby and he has adventures. Yay.
Dead baby.
Yes. Casper and Friends magazine ran for 3 issues. Jacked up copies of this book actually sell for about $10 on eBay. There are no GPA sales. I don't know if any of them have ever been slabbed, but yeah, I was confused and intrigued that Marvel actually published Harvey Comics characters in the mid 90s.
Do they still have the rights to the Harvey characters?
I don't think so, or they would have, done movies and everything with these properties. There was the whole series of Casper movies. There was a Richie Rich TV series on Netflix last year that none of us knew about. And I don't think Marvel benefits from that at all. I think the Harvey family still has control of those, or Classic Media maybe. So yeah, it was just interesting that they, the comics industry was so constrained by the mid 90s that they had to get licensed. I mean, think about Marvel in the mid 90s was publishing Disney comics, Beauty and the Beast, things like that, Gargoyles, Harvey Comics, Casper. So they were trying anything and everything to stay out of bankruptcy. Yeah, but happy ending for Marvel, not so much the Harvey characters. Sorry, Casper. You're back to being dead. Our underrated books of the week are here. Richard, what is yours?
Oh, there's not a dead baby in mine at all. My choice is Cerebus #2 from 1978. This is the second appearance of Cerebus the Aardvark.
Wait a second. Wasn't Cerebus #1 on your 2022 goals?
It was not on the goals. It's definitely a book that I have been looking for. But the hard part with #1 is there's so many counterfeits out there.
Well, tell us about #2.
Yeah. #2 is the second appearance. If you've never read Conan, think never read Cerebus, think Conan meets funny animals. He is this barbarian that goes and is in a human world as an aardvark. Dave Sim is the writer as well as the artist on this book. At this point, he doesn't have any assistants. He's doing it all. Issue #1 is incredibly expensive. If you can find a real one and you can get around all the counterfeits, it's an expensive book. This is the second appearance, and you're paying probably around. I saw a raw today for about $300. So
really,
yeah, it's affordable compared to the $12,000 for finding a higher quality #1. GPA, there's 9.6 is the highest out there. It's $2,500 it sold for last year. There's only 127 books on the census, so 2 of them are 9.8s, and they're both our signature series. They're both signed by Dave Sim, which I think is awesome. What I don't think is as awesome is Dave Sim's personality here in the past few years.
Who had the courage to go to a Dave Sim signing?
This must have been years ago, because he has really said some things that are just really terrible things, and some of his more recent books are focused on concepts of misogyny that are just hard to believe that you can still have that mindset in the 2020s. But separating the man from the art, I like the Cerebus series. Cerebus series is part of what I grew up with. I remember buying stacks of books. Cerebus was on the top. I read Cerebus all the way through through some of the weird stuff that he, the longer it went, the weirder it went. They promised to do 300 issues, and he made 300 issues of this book. For a long time, it was the longest running creator-owned property up until Spawn beat his record. Was it last year before?
It's 300 plus issues. Yeah, I remember Cerebus for one real funny reason. When I was managing the comic shop that you used to come to, I would order 3 copies, one for you, one for me, and one for the shelf.
Really?
Yes.
No one else was reading it?
You and me were the only 2 people buying and reading that book at that point. Now, of course, it was like, I think issue 150 or so.
Yeah.
Halfway. Yeah. It was that whole weird thing where he was on the moon and
to mothers and daughters, and there are a lot of there's a lot of themes that went through his books that told of his personality as it would become more obvious later on.
Oh yeah, much more obvious. I mean, he would write 3-page screeds in the book in lieu of a letters page about why women should be cooking, doing the dishes, stuff like that.
You got to separate the man from the art, and the art was enjoyable for the first. The barbarian phase was with.
Well, he was swiping Barry Windsor Smith. I mean,
he was totally the Wolveroach, for example, was a great character.
But when you get further in the run, how much of that is him and how much of that is Gerhard?
Gerhard did a lot. He did all the background art, and I'm assuming later on he did more of the character art as well.
Yeah. My pick for underrated book of the week is a little less controversial. It is Marvel Collector's Item Classics #1. I may have picked this before.
You have.
I don't care. I'm picking it again. This is a 1965 square-bound Marvel annual. Continuing my Marvel annual theme from this month for my underrated books. This picks up the reprinting of the Fantastic Four from FF Annual #1, reprinted FF #1. This reprints FF #2 and continues in this book. It picks up reprinting Spider-Man from the Marvel Tales Annual that happened the year prior. They skipped Spider-Man #2 for some reason when they were doing these reprints. A 9.4 of this book sold in May of last year for $567. That is just, I think, outrageously low. This is the kind of bastard child to Marvel Tales. It doesn't get the love and respect that Marvel Tales does. I think Marvel Tales #1 has that beautiful Jack Kirby cover with all the 6 characters, and that's why people want it. This is just like, here are the covers of the books that are inside, so I think the cover kind of holds it back a bit. But I love this book. I love these square-bound annuals. I will repeat them over and over again if I have to.
I love them too, and I don't remember right now if it was me or you that had that book, because I love those. They're a great way of reading those early stories, on paper, similar to what they were. It's newsprint and not reprinted on modern stock. If you were to read it in an omnibus today, for example.
I agree, and go get them. They're out there. They're cheap. They're affordable. Kind of like us.
We are very cheap. Yeah, as cheap as they come.
In fact, we're so cheap that you can buy us for a like, or if you hit subscribe, or if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Go visit the website as well at bronzeandmoderngods.com. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, buy a beer koozie, whatever you want.
Beer koozie, that sounds good. Yeah.
Beer koozie. That's it. I'm John. We'll see you next time.
Okay, I'm Richard, and everybody stay safe.